We thought he was our friend. Can he come out? To ring that bell and the housekeeper would answer, can Louis come out? We knew he was in there because we could hear him. No, he couldn't come out, but he came out anyway. And that's right here, this picture right here. And then his birthday, that's when Lisa was in the paper. And I asked, could he take a picture with her? And he stood right there on the little patio up there and held her up, and we were all on the street there, leaning on people's cars.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes he would hear us ask for him, and they would say, no, because he's resting, or no, he's in his music room.
And he would come out anyway.
Right there on that porch.
Sure would.
I'll be out later.
Yeah,
well, no, I can't say it like him. You know, he had that raspy voice.
So this is where one day he came, and we were all, you can see it's like summertime, so we weren't in school. And I think Pat was holding a conversation with him. And she was having this big conversation with him, and he started singing, hello, Dolly, this is Louis. And so we all standing here now, we're trying to sing it too. And he's like, no, just let me sing it. This is Michelle Woodard. This is Patrina Rogers. You said that's Debbie Allen?
Yes, that's Debbie.
Okay. This is Iris O'Neill. This is Lydia Tuma. Mm-hmm. That's me with the pigtails. And this is Mama Youngie. That's what everybody on that. That's our grandma. Everybody on the block call her Mama Youngie, though. Mm-hmm. We went to the March on Washington. So that was 1963.
Yes.
That was in August 1963. We got there. I remember it was just a long, long walk. Seemed like we had to park in Baltimore in order to walk. We went up to the Lincoln Memorial. We were up there, we were climbing the steps. And the tour guide, the people at the bottom was like, okay, MLK is coming, MLK. Well, that was like hollering fire. Everybody started running down the steps. And we're all at the back. Now, I'm thirsty. I can't see the man anyway, even though he's up on the podium. I can't see him. So I go over to this fountain and I'm trying to push, nothing happens. A little while later, a little girl come up, Caucasian little girl, because some of them they marched with us. Some of them were sympathetic to our cause. Caucasian little girl come up, the man come over with the key, turn the thing, and she gets some water. Oh, I'm running now. I want some water. The man told me, no, you can't drink from this fountain. Now, I'm from New York.
Yeah.
What do I know? I don't know. I hear my mother's stories, and I heard everything, but I didn't know I couldn't drink from the fountain. He want to send me over to the other side, all kinds of paper and garbage in there, and say he'll turn that one off for me to drink. I said, and I will die of thirst. And I remember it just as clear as day. And my mother looked at me.
Yeah.
I said, well, I must have been, it was 1963,
Probably
so I
8 or
was
9.
couldn't
have been no more than 9.
I was 8 going on 9. That's why, for me, I don't understand why this generation wants to erase all of that. And maybe I wouldn't know as much as I know if I didn't, live in this community, if I didn't grow up in this community, and I didn't have a mother that was really, an advocate to make sure, because her thing was, you can be anything you want to be. I grew up thinking I was going to be the president of the United States. That's what I grew up thinking. But so she exposed us to a lot of things so that no one would ever be able to tell us what we can't be or can't do. So when Louis was home, he would just walk up and down the block. He would come out and he would, kind of stop, and if anybody was outside, we would go running over. And he would take us up the block, and he was always, whenever we walked with him, how y'all doing? Y'all been good? You going to school? What are you doing? And he would tell us, and one of the reasons, so he would tell us, you could be anybody you want to be, anything you want to be. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do something. As soon as they tell you can't do something, you do it. You just go ahead and do it. And he would take us we would go to the corner store, and he would say, you see, that's a black-owned business. Well, he didn't use, was Negro then.
Colored.
It was colored, yeah. But see, has his own business, and he goes show us the Frank. See, he has his own business, and look at it. And the stores, they provide for the community, and they did. And when we go down Northern Boulevard to go with him to the barber shop, he would always point out how where you lived was important. Where you lived, you don't forget. And like he said, he could move any place he wanted to move. He could have went over there to St. Albans with all the others, but he liked being over here. My mother grew up in Arkansas. My mother picked cotton. My mother picked tobacco. That was what her family did. And she had 8 siblings, but she was the only one that came to college. And those 8 siblings, they picked cotton and tobacco to pay for her to go to college.
Mommy went to University of Arkansas.
She would come to New York, like they would send her to New York during the summer for the culture part, because my mother was always she was outgoing. Remember I told you she was very much she was very much an activist.
Yes, yeah.
So she was denied a co-op in Forest Hills. No, they said because she was worth $500,000 back then, and they couldn't figure out how she managed to do that on a teacher's salary. She complied with everything, because I remember we had to give her our deeds and stuff.
But she won?
Oh, she won. She became the first case under the Human Rights Commission. So she said that she thought, she said she knew that it was because of her race. And they said, oh no. So she had a trial by jury in federal court, and they said, yep. And then there was a blind man and with a CNI dog, and he was denied a co-op. So after my mother won hers, then he sued, and then every year for years, I would say up until about 2000, it was Diane Sawyer, and she would always do the story on 60 Minutes. Now this is where her and my middle sister and Eric, this is where they were born.
Yeah.
That's the house I showed you where Pat and I were standing with.
Where we all had on our Easter outfits.
Yeah, this is where we all had on our little Easter outfits. We were standing on that step, and the milk box was right over there in the corner.
All grass. And that old apple tree.
Yeah, we had an apple tree. We had an apple tree right there.
All
you
the
see
way
where that
around.
stuff is coming over the fence?
Right.
That's where we had the peach tree.
So at some point, Lamont moved into
Lamont moved, into this house.
And what we used to do, okay, so right back here, we always had like barbecues. And so if Louis was going by, of course, he could look and he could see the barbecue and he'd come over. And this is when he would come over here and he'd be singing, "Oh, It's a Wonderful World," to my sister Patrina, Pat. I remember Nat King Cole was in this parlor here, and Louis stopped by. It was summer because Nat King Cole was here, and I remember they were all talking about Chubby Checker and the Twist. And it happened to be playing in the backyard. And so as he walked back, my sister Patrina, because, Louis was like that. You could just walk up to, "Come on, let's do the twist." And he was like, and she was like, "Come on, it's easy." And, and so she was doing the twist. And it is in Life or Look or one of those magazines. It's there. So, Mr. Softy used to come around. We had Mr. Softy. And that's not real. Louis would understand that music because it's a Southern tune. A lot of times he would be in his studio recording, and Mr. Softy's music is so loud. And so he said, when you come, okay, we can hear you coming, but once you get on the block, turn that off and just sit. And everybody will come.
And ring the bell. Ding.
Yeah, just, like that, because they made him get a good humor bell.
Yeah.
The good humor man.
But I mean, he was just it's amazing to me now. I teach my granddaughter who he is. And someday when she gets a little older, maybe she'll realize, like I began to realize once I got older. It's like, hey, you know what? That's Louis Armstrong. That was our neighbor.
You know, so it was just, everything with him was, we could aspire to something.
Right.
Aspire to something. And he expected the kids on his block to be somebody. You know, all the kids in the neighborhood, but the kids on his block, he expected it. He expected it of us.
They were never mean to us. Lucille just looked mean, but she was not mean. She just had a mean look. You wouldn't mess with her, but we always knew when he was home, and we always ring the bell. Some of the kids would be scared. I wasn't scared. I'll ring it, and go get him. And out he'd come and he'd play, and we'd sing and we'd dance, and he was just a friend, our neighbor that didn't mind the kids. Yeah.
I remember one time we said, how long are you gonna be here? And I think he said, I'm just going to the barbershop. When I come back, I gotta go. And I said, well, isn't that kind of quick? You mean you're not staying? And he was like, no, I just came to get a haircut because I don't let nobody just cut my hair. There's one like on,
That's on Northern Boulevard.
There's one,
the funeral was on 34th Avenue.
But I'm sure he went past the barbershop, and I think that's where people were on the roof.
Was this something familiar? This is the only thing I found of people on the roof. This is during the funeral.
Yeah, this is next door. This is where I was saying Miss Crawford had this store. So this is, Robyn, I think that's you in those white, in the white outfit. Oh.
Let me see.
I think I'm pretty sure this is you. This is what I'm looking for. This is the newspaper article that and I do have it. I promise you I have it.
This is in the newspaper.
Yes,
So,
this is in the news, but this, everybody loved Louis, so everybody knew him. So the church is this way. That's why the car is here. The church is right here, Corona Congregation. This was Miss Crawford's grocery store. And these people here, they just let the kids get up on the roof because they knew how he felt. But I believe this is you.
Right there in those white shorts.
I believe that's you. The procession started at that flag. Well, waited for everybody to pull out and catch up.
Yeah. And they just passed, slowly rolled past the flag. It was gorgeous. It was just something to remember. And a few weeks later, it was in that Jet magazine. And we had a porch up there.
Yeah.
Like that one.
Porch,
there was a porch
like this
up
one.
there.
It was
and
a porch,
we also,
but we closing it.
This is where we played the music for the block party from upstairs. That we had the block party for Louis, for his memory.
Right.
Yeah. And Lucille, she cried, but and we still didn't know that he was Louis Armstrong like I know he is today. Had no idea.
Yeah. Well,
No idea. None of them. And Muhammad Ali, back then he was Cassius Clay. We knew he was a boxer, but I didn't anyway until long after I was grown that, oh my goodness, this is someone that we just used to run up to, get candy from,
As a child growing up, I had all these experiences and I had all this encouragement. So when I became a teacher, I wanted to give back, and I would always share stories and, with the students and encourage them. His story from a child from his child to his death, really, I would say, is my story. I would say, because everything that he went through, he made sure that we never forgot what he went through, where he went, and how. Just don't accept no. I think by the time Martin Luther King died, his impact, Louis' impact and his experiences at segregation, I think then it began to sink in for me so that I could begin, I began to see things. So that part of coming of age for me made a lot of the conversations that we had with Louis, it took a foothold. His story was for us to live.